The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Zethkar's mandibles clicked in what passed for laughter among the Zerathi. The holographic display before the assembled delegates showed the final human colony ship limping toward the edge of known space, its hull scarred and engines failing. "And so ends the brief, violent chapter of humanity," Zethkar announced, his voice carrying the satisfaction of vindication. "As we predicted, their aggressive nature proved their undoing. The galaxy is safer without them." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. The Volani delegation's crystalline forms chimed harmoniously, while the slug-like Morthi pulsed with satisfied bioluminescence. Even the normally neutral Sindari nodded their feathered heads in approval. It had been 50 standard years since the Human Coalition War had ended. The combined fleets of 7 species had driven humanity from every world they'd colonized, every station they'd built. The humans had fought with typical ferocity, but numbers and superior technology had prevailed. Their homeworld, Earth, had been rendered uninhabitable by orbital bombardment, their survivors scattered to the galactic winds. "The archives will record this as a cautionary tale," continued Zethkar. "When a species refuses to accept peaceful integration, when they insist on maintaining their primitive concepts of individual sovereignty and territorial expansion, extinction becomes inevitable." The assembled delegates had heard this speech before, but they listened anyway. It served as a reminder of the Council's wisdom of the price of defying galactic order. Admiral Vexandra of the Altarian Navy shifted uncomfortably in her hoverchair. Unlike the others, she remembered the humans differently. She had fought them directly, witnessed their impossible tactics, their refusal to surrender even when facing certain death. They had earned her respect, even as she helped destroy them. "Perhaps," she said carefully, "we should have tried harder to understand them." Zethkar's mandibles clicked dismissively. "Understanding was attempted, Admiral. They rejected every offer of peaceful subjugation. They demanded to govern themselves, to expand according to their own desires rather than Council-approved parameters. Such chaos could not be tolerated." The debate might have continued, but at that moment, the chamber's proximity alarms began to wail. Emergency lighting bathed the delegates in harsh red as the Council's most advanced sensor arrays detected something impossible. "Incoming transmission," announced the chamber's AI. "Origin unknown. Signal strength significant." The main display flickered, static crawling across its surface before resolving into an image that made every delegate recoil in shock. A human face filled the screen, weathered, scarred, but unmistakably alive. Behind him, the bridge of a warship hummed with activity. "Greetings, Galactic Council," the human said, his voice carrying across decades of silence. "My name is Admiral Chen, representing the human colonial fleet. We've been away for a while." Zethkar found his voice first, though it cracked with disbelief. "Impossible. Humanity is extinct. We witnessed your final ships fleeing into the outer dark." Admiral Chen's smile was sharp as a blade. "You witnessed what we wanted you to witness. Our retreat was actually a strategic withdrawal. While you celebrated our extinction, we've been busy." The display split, showing additional views. Warships filled the screens, not the crude, angular vessels the Council remembered, but sleek predators that seemed to bend light around their hulls. The sensor readings were staggering. The human fleet numbered in the thousands. 50 years in the void, Chen continued. 50 years of adapting, evolving, becoming something new. You thought you understood us, but you never grasped humanity's greatest strength, our ability to endure the impossible and emerge stronger. Vexandra's tactical training kicked in as she analyzed the ships. The technology was unlike anything in Council databases. Dark energy manipulation, quantum hull, plating, weapons that seemed to exist partially outside normal space-time. How had a species facing extinction developed such advanced systems? "You want to know how?" Chen asked, as if reading her thoughts. "Simple. You backed Apex survivors into a corner and gave us 50 years to prepare. We found technologies in the void that make your advanced civilizations look primitive. We mastered sciences you haven't even discovered, and we learned to work together in ways that would terrify you. The human ships began moving, not toward the Council fleet stationed at the system's edge, but around it. They weren't here for battle. They were making a point. We could have returned years ago, Chen admitted. Could have reduced your worlds to ash and rebuilt the galaxy in our image. But we learned something else in the dark: patience, wisdom. The very things you claimed we lacked. Zethkar finally managed to speak. What do you want? What we always wanted, Chen replied. The right to exist, to grow, to determine our own destiny. But now we're offering you something new. Partnership instead of domination. The galaxy is vast enough for all of us, if we work together instead of forcing conformity. The Admiral gestured, and the display showed star charts marking unexplored regions beyond the galactic rim. We've found things out there, wonders that make our old territorial disputes seem petty, threats that would devour civilizations like yours without effort. The real question isn't whether humanity deserves to survive, it's whether any of us will survive what's coming without working together. The council chamber fell silent again, but this silence was different. It carried weight, possibility, and the terrifying realization that the galaxy's political order had just fundamentally shifted. Admiral Vexandra was the first to respond. Rising from her chair, she offered the traditional Altarian salute. The Altarian Navy stands ready to discuss these partnerships. One by one, other delegates began to follow suit. Not all. Some species would need time to process this impossible return. But enough. Admiral Chen smiled, and this time it carried warmth instead of warning. Then let's begin. Humanity is ready to come home. As the human fleet settled into standard orbit, the galaxy began to change once again. The species that had mocked extinction now faced a choice: adapt to humanity's return or be left behind as the cosmos itself evolved around them. In the end, humanity's greatest victory wasn't their survival. It was proving that even gods could learn to change.